specifically the question related to the effectiveness of the safety control EUA 43. Other team findings included the following. Due to an upcoming material control and accounting inventory, NFS management was aware that process change was being urgently implemented and did not reinforce an expectation for safety of production. The team noted that management was directly involved in the informal verbal communications that occurred prior to the event, which contributed to rushing procedure changes. The team noted that the laboratory testing for the process change was limited to one sample that was not representative of the remaining material that was going to be processed. And in summary, the results of the AIT inspection demonstrated that multiple error prevention barriers at NFS had failed. Finally, on the November 30th decision to restart the uranium process, we determined it was less than adequate because your staff did not have a rigorous technical basis and appropriate management review to support the conclusion that the process was ready for restart.
You all described some of the steps that the NFS team had taken to deal with the causal factor of production pressure, production for safety, which is something that you all had, in the course of the 6 months between the event and the end of November, had identified as a contributor to the event. And in the course of that conversation, it was described to us some of the corrective actions that had been taken to address that, and one of those was with regard to the configuration or change management process that George described, in which with regard to the number of safety barriers in that change process. Your change process is built and written to include safety reviews and technical reviews and management reviews before changes to processes or procedures of a certain significance are allowed to proceed. And in that procedure, you all had built an additional safety barrier, a collegial safety review as an additional safety barrier. And the NRC certainly recognizes that no one safety barrier safety is achieved by the collection of safety barriers, so that no one safety barrier, if it fails, should lead to the kind of upset that occurred here. But in this particular case, the collegial safety review was something that had been built into your procedures. And you had also built in an allowance for that collegial safety review to be bypassed under certain circumstances. And you all described to us that in response to the production pressure contributing causal factor, you all have modified that procedure to eliminate, in your own view, contributors to production pressure in that procedure. And left in that procedure, as was described to us on the phone, was an allowance for the collegial safety review to be bypassed if that review could not be conducted prior to the shutdown of the processing.
We as a company need to make fundamental changes in the way we do business. You are correct in your assessment of our operations, as I understand it to this date. We must, and we will, do better. I've been part of the leadership team that has recovered 2 nuclear power plants shut down by the NRC, and the recovery of several DOE nuclear facilities, which were having significant difficulties. I will bring that perspective to the leadership position of NFS to help the team, which is determined to return NFS to excellence. My impression, after reading the recovery material and learning about the actions taken and the actions being planned, is that the team is off to a good start. Safety is driven by the principle that we want our workers to return to their families in the condition in which they were received, and the obligation that we have to protect the general public and the environment.
As noted by the NRC, we as management did not effectively oversee our operations system, the change management system, the corrective action program being 2 in particular. I think we were at fault for not clearly defining expectations and standards. Although we espoused those expectations and standards, we didn't formalize them and clearly operationally define them for the entire workforce. And more importantly, we didn't enforce those standards and expectations. And that allowed a narrow fix-it-now mentality that not only led to many of the performance issues that you noted, but also communicated an inappropriate set of priorities to the workforce.
It is clear that NFS has needed a change in its approach.